on TikTok and we're recording for YouTube. Me and Nightstorm normally, like, there's like this old bit that God, what's his name? Bill O'Reilly. He did, like, whenever he got flustered and he like basically just threw his hands up in the air. He just said, "Fuck it, we're doing it live." So we normally do that sort of thing or say that. But Napoleon, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey there, brother. Thank you for inviting me on.
Yeah. No problem. So before we get started, I hope this like smoke in the background isn't freaking you out. Is it you good? I don't know if you're even looking at the screen, but it's there. No, maybe not.
Let me actually see. I'm clicking on. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, cool.
Yeah, it's very, very psychedelic. Okay. So, let's just do some intros real quick. So, Napoleon, how did you get this handle? Because I'm assuming that's not like your actual name. No.
So I'm a bit of history buff, and so it's just kind of a play on the name Napoleon Bonaparte, where instead it's blown apart. Where it was inspired by the little picture that's my icon, where it's a classic Napoleon painting, but it's been edited to where his head's being blown off.
Yes, I see. It's actually kind of teeny, but you're gonna have to provide that later on for the video. Anyway, okay, cool. So I guess we could just get right into it. We're going to be talking about politics today, politics in sort of like pop culture and I don't know, video games and all this other stuff. I'm assuming, like, did you do like a focus on like the Napoleonic era, or like how did you like what's like the history intro? Like, why did you like it? What started you off? Give me the whole spiel real quick, and you don't have to be organized.
Well, I mean, like, as far as in my doctoral studies, because I have the PhD in political science. No, my studies were actually a pre-revolution writer by the name of Montesquieu, where he wrote The Spirit of the Laws, which is considered like basically the first bit of actual modern political science.
Oh, nice!
Like in an organized way, where he's doing comparative studies of different countries and their laws and stuff.
Okay. So like reading that, you're saying reading that got you into like history and poli-sci or something?
Well, that was more. I believe you were. I took part of the question as kind of like what was like. First, what have I done that was like kind of around the Napoleonic era, like getting into Napoleon, but no, just in general, just growing up, reading a lot. Like my brother in particular was into history, so I just read a lot. Like,
okay,
yeah. It just always fascinated me, kind of reading about the past. So,
what about the past was fascinating? Usually, whenever people think about like reading something, they try to read something fanciful or some sort of sci-fi where they get to like look forward to something as opposed to like looking back. How did you?
Well, there's lessons to be learned.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there's lessons to be learned. I mean, and it's the story of us. Like, it's it's our story, and shouldn't that be something worth remembering? So it's that it's a way for us to understand like where we've come from.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I do feel that in like I guess you could say like an obvious way. I feel like most of the time, like history doesn't repeat itself for people who bother to actually learn about it. And when they don't, usually it doesn't repeat itself. It sort of just rhymes. Like there are similar patterns that end up coming up. I don't know if that sounds like super like cliche or something like that, or like annoying from your perspective.
Well, no, because I mean, there's always going to be like cycles. Okay, like,
yeah.
This is a big one in different sorts of cycles. I mean, like you could have like the cycle of empires or a broader cycle of civilizations and the such, where we'll see certain patterns of kind of like what leads to the rise and fall of empires and the such.
Yeah. Do you think that those patterns are inevitable due to like simple patterns, or I'm sorry, simple systems that we create naturally? Like say for example, like human beings are social creatures in a certain way. We're not social creatures in the same way that like dolphins in a pod or like social creatures, or like whales are social creatures. We have certain limitations, and we have certain like tools at our fingertips. I guess I could say like thumb tips, but anyway, we have like certain tools that allow us to like produce certain things. Do you think that those like constraints are the things that produce the patterns, or like, do you think it's like genuinely a lack of us learning lessons that end up producing patterns? Are we like not necessarily on rails, but do you feel like we're constricted based off the fact that we can't do anything too far outside of what's been done in the past?
Well, no. See, the part of the problem is it's easy to look back and be like, okay, this, it should have been obvious how this was going to go down.
Yeah.
But when you're in the moment, you don't necessarily know. Now, some people might, but often those in power, they maybe see, okay, things aren't, they see a decline coming, they'll try to ignore it, kick the can down the road, because they don't want to publicly admit there's a problem, because if they admit there's a problem, then they look weak. It's either that, or they honestly don't believe there is a problem, and they'll just ignore any sort of warnings. So, I think part of it is like human nature and like who's drawn to power. Often the people who are drawn to power don't like to be told bad things.
So there are faults in some of the systems that we have. One of those systems being the power system, or the power structures that exist in society. And I mean, I'm not trying to like hyper intellectualize it, but I'm assuming that like that's one of the things that has inherent faults that ends up producing people who ignore the obvious, like you were saying.
Well, yeah, because positions of power tend to attract people who are great or seeking to be great, and greatness doesn't have humility. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, greatness doesn't allow for any sincere humility. So, it's one of those things where, yeah, they're just the kind of people who are in positions to kind of maybe break out of the cycle. There's a lack of incentive, for them to do so.
I like it. Okay. So there's like, you're better off, not necessarily better off. There's a preference towards the sort of high that power gives you, and that ends up like not necessarily. I guess that wouldn't actually explain it either, because.
Well, since you want to keep that high going, and the thing is, if you could try to fix this problem, where let's say it's something that's going to take, potentially several decades to deal with, and you're going to be out of power in like 5-6 years, let's say.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you going to want to go ahead and try and fix this problem? And kind of, but in doing so, kind of like admit your weakness and spend your last years trying to fix this, or are you going to try to make yourself look good for your last few years, and then just hope that nobody's going to, realize that you didn't try and deal with the problem, and even if they do realize it after the fact, screw it, you're done.
That sounds it's okay. I love the way that you just said that, because it actually kind of, it makes me think about like there's an inherent issue with our own political system, and we don't talk about like our politics. I'm not going to say anything about Democrats or Republicans, but just on this podcast. But like whenever you think about like the time, like the cadence in between elections, like 2, 4, and 6 years. That's usually not enough time to actually solve most like big issues, or like, I guess you could say issues that have foundational problems in the United States. And a similar thing would actually occur like everywhere else. So if there's some sort of like, that seems more like a structural problem with I guess you could say like ruling powers, you know? Because like, would you see like political parties as being institutions that produce people who still want power, or institutions that are power seeking in and of themselves? Because if it was like an institution that was power seeking, then you could have, I don't know, like 5 or 6 or 7 different groups of people, or 5 or 6 or 7 different people trying to acquire this sort of like, quote, status of power. Like, I don't know. Is that like like, I know I'm just sort of like spitballing a whole bunch of stuff about how we define like power and what our limitations are, but does that make sense?
Well, yeah. Well, it's funny you're mentioning this, because I'm just thinking of Zeech, one of the 4 gods of chaos in the Warhammer 40K setting.
Okay.
Where in the 40K setting, you can be corrupted by chaos, but with Zeech, it's about ambition and expansion, and the whole thing is like the entire ruling elite is susceptible to that specific chaos god. You know, but the whole thing's supposed to kind of represent how, kind of, in seeking power, once you get it, you want more power. You can't satiate it. It's always expanding, always growing.
Is Zeech okay? I'm assuming that's like an actual entity, but is that also a like a, not just a metaphor for something? Is it like a force in like the 40K universe? Like
yes.
Would it just be a loose explanation of like why people desire certain things because of Zeech? Not necessarily the entity, but because like there's like this innate like greed that's sort of like in people and how they tell the story. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, the people have the greed without ever even dealing with Zeech. But what will happen is that in their greed, Zeech will see their weakness, will imbue them with power and success, and they're enjoying the success to become more powerful with his power, which then adds to his power.
Okay. So it's like he's like a corrupting force, and he just makes use of these like I don't know, these like strings that are only visible to him, that links back to people who have these desires. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. What sort of like? So I've seen it explained, but does the 40K universe like? Okay, the 40K universe as a whole doesn't have like a political structure, but like, what do you call it? The I don't know, humanity.
The Imperium of Man.
Yeah, the Imperium of Man. Like, what is their like? Do they even have like a governing structure? Is it like the Emperor is like? Is it like a theocracy? What do they have?
Yeah, no, excellent question. So, to an extent, they have a theocracy that is technically ran by their god. With the god Emperor. However, he's not really running the show. Okay, and let me get this term right.
Is that a theocracy when you're the god running the when the god is running the show?
Well, the thing is, by the time he's understood as a god, he's not really running the show. Where it's so he sits on a golden throne, but then there's the High Lords of Terra, along with the Ecclesiarchy.
Ecclesiarchy.
Where
does that word come from? I mean, I'm hearing hierarchy in there, but eccles, what is that?
Well, something like ecclesiastic, like
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So in other words, organized religion, where it's very much a theocracy. That absolutely, where, but really, it's the High Lords of Terra that are, acting in his stead. But yeah, because the Emperor, like, he's alive, but he's not alive. But elsewise, it's a, I would say, totalitarian regime, where that means there is no meaningful limits on the government, especially since the organized religion is the government, and there is no what you might call civil society, no voluntary interactions really outside of the government.
Okay.
Or it's very limited, like, that. So the government is all controlling, but I mean, yeah, where I would not want to live there. Yeah, where it would be, totalitarian theocracy.
Damn, that's like they're actually North Korea.
Honestly, I'd rather, considering that I would not be part of the nobility of the Imperium of Man. I'm not sure which, because living in the 40K universe just sucks. Like unless you're super rich or you're badass, like, life just sucks.
Okay. So what are the? Yeah, go ahead.
The thing is, a lot of the problem is the bureaucratic bloat that it's now being fixed, where they what is it? I'm going to butcher the pronunciation. Rupia Gilliman, the Primarch of the Ultramarines, where he's basically like the top bureaucrat in the galaxy. Like, he's really good at it. His superpower is effectively filling out paperwork.
That's awesome. That's ridiculous, actually.
Yeah, where there are, like, some good people, but it's still, like him, like, he gets shit done. But yeah, it's elsewise, yeah, no, not a good place to live.
Yeah. Are there so what are the, like, what is it? What are the bugs called? No, they're not the
Tyranids.
Yeah, the Tyranids. Yeah. I mean, they don't even have a government. They're just like a colony structure, like bugs, actual bugs, right?
Well, no, it's not even that, because those, because even then, like, they're independent entities. The different ants in the colony, they might be programmed to do a certain thing, but they're still independent entities. Where the Tyranids, no, it's a singular mind, ultimately.
Oh, so they just have, like, a different way of representing. Wait, so it's just wait, hold on. Yeah, so if it's just one mind, then it's like it's not even a government. It's just like a thing. Oh, well, damn. Okay. What are... okay, so I watched a video of the Warhammer universe, like, a while ago, and it had, like, these elven people. Was it the Eldar?
Yes.
And then there's the orcs. The Eldar, the orcs, the Imperium of Man, the Tyranids, and I'm assuming they're, like... Not the elven people. Where are the aliens that Nightstorm likes that are like Star Trek Federation? The Tau? Yeah. And who else? Is that it? No, there's Chaos. Is it just like Chaos? Or do they even count?
They can count. Like, they count. But then there's also Necrons.
Wait. What do they do?
They're undead Terminators.
Okay. What? Okay, undead. Are they like corrupted by chaos or something, or like?
No, they're actually since they no longer are living, they can't be corrupted by chaos.
Oh.
Yeah, they used to be a living race called the Necrontyr. Then they made a bargain with some star gods to be immortal, and they turned them into metal abominations.
Ah, okay. I heard about that. Okay. And then,
Well,
like, how do they like self manage themselves?
yeah, no, that thing classic, like that kind of built a little bit off of ancient Egypt, okay, where, but they have like different families, different dynasties. It's very much an oligarchy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, very, very much an oligarchy, but there is one person technically at the top called the Silent King, where there's the Triarch, that's the three people in charge, but only two of them will actually hear people's pleas, and that's why they call the third one the Silent King, where the Silent King is the ultimate decision maker. But they don't have him listen to people's pleas because they don't want him to be influenced by their pleas.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. So that one, it's sort of a monarchy, but also an oligarchy. Like, it's a bit of both.
Well, technically, it's a diarchy, isn't it? Like the old Spartans.
No, it would be a closer to a triarchy.
Yeah, but wait. So does the Silent King have the same amount of power as the other two?
No, he has more power than the other two.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Well, it's not a. I mean, if he's got more power, like he could veto both of them or their decisions, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that wouldn't be a triarchy, isn't it?
Well, not in the strict sense, not like the Roman Triumvirate, where they're, where like the other two still have say. It's just there's one person that can override them.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out, like, is there any aspect of this universe that doesn't blow? Like, holy shit, it's like the most depressing breakdown of like how to distribute or how to like organize yourself ever. Like all of these different groups, the only people that I think are even like reasonably close to something I would want to be a part of, or maybe like the Tau, or are the Eldar? They're just like magical elf people. They don't really do anything, or do they have like a king ship or something like that?
Them, I'm not so familiar with, but from my understanding, they have a more tribal structure.
Okay, so they have like chieftains and stuff like that.
Like I said, don't quote me on them because them and the Tau I know the least about.
Okay. The only thing I heard about the Tau is that they're like this sort of like Federation type existence, and like or at least that's what Nice Storm has talked about. So I don't know. Apparently they have like different like races of people that are like made up that make up their base. So including some humans and some non like racially Tau people other than humans. So I don't know. That's kind of interesting. What sort of are there any like video games or TV shows other than Warhammer, because we just discussed that, and like that like actually like pique your fancy in a, like a real way? Is there like I don't know, something that just really stands out?
Well, I mean, Star Trek is always a classic, especially Next Gen and Deep Space Nine.
What about like okay, we can. I feel like we can talk about this for like 3 hours, but what specific things in DS9 or like Star Trek made you, in like a political sense, that you thought was like interesting? Like what? In the Next Generation. I mean, it just felt like a sort of military structure because they're always on the ship, and of course they're like representing the Federation. But like, I don't know, what were you into specifically?
Well, like, DS9 might be my actual favorite of the series.
Yeah.
Reason being is, I like first off how you see cracks in the armor of the Federation, which it shows a fatal flaw of the Federation, which is you can be good guys, you can act like good guys all you want, but being a good guy is easy in times of peace. Being a good guy in times of war, that's more complicated. Where a lot of that was kind of critiquing the moral grandstanding of the Federation, and then I also like how we see a bit of the internal politics of the Klingons. Like we see a lot of the infighting, between who's going to be in charge, and then the whole just like the Cardassian occupation of Bajor. There's the Cardassian infighting amongst themselves as well. Where for me though, it really comes down to Garrick though. This allegedly humble tailor.
Yeah, he's the best tailor ever.
My ass, like the dude is like the dude is like what the CIA or KGB like think they are.
Yeah, no, he was a part of the First Order. He was trained by his dad, wasn't it? It was his dad who was like the leader of the First Order. So and he never. I love the fact that you only end up finding that out at the very end when, like right before, spoiler alert, right before there's like a disastrous plan that's committed by the First Order and the Romulans? The Tal Shiar? Yeah, the Tal Shiar and the First Order. They try to do that sort of like that sneak attack on the Dominion, and it just like doesn't work. And they just completely get obliterated. That's God. There's so much good stuff in DS9. There's an episode. Do you have a favorite episode in DS9, by the way?
Ooh,
So let me just say something while you think about that. My favorite episode is an episode called Duet, and it's actually in the first season. And there's a Cardassian. Like I don't know, he comes onto the station as just a person who is passing by, and he ends up basically being admitted into the medical wing because he has something called like I don't know, something syndrome, and apparently you only caught that if you were working in the mines. And as soon as like Kira gets down there, she thinks that it's another Bajoran. Because most people who got that were Bajorans because they were working in the mines, but she sees that it's a Cardassian a Cardassian, not a Kardashian, and she
thankfully not.
And she like flips out, and it turns into this whole story about like in reality he's like posing. He got medical surgery and posed as like the general that was like overseeing the labor camp that, you know, took so many lives and stuff like that. And he's basically like trying to repent for being. He was effectively like a nobody during the war, but he's trying to like take the face of Goldar Heel, who is the perpetrator of the sort of like war criminal to the Bajorans, and take responsibility for his actions after he's dead. And there's so many like twists and turns in the actual story. There's so many parts of the story where you think Kira is just going to take him out back and like pop him in the face. And when I say pop him in the face, I don't mean like punch him in the nose. I mean like get rid of his face. There's like an amazing part at the end where he breaks down because he's like emotionally unstable. I think Duet, it's episode 19, is like the best episode in like in television for a long time. And there are like a few good episodes of television that you end up seeing, but it's like so memorable. And that's probably my favorite. Did you already think of one?
Yeah, no, for me, it would be In the Pale Moonlight. Where...
What was that?
In that one, Cisco gets Garrick to help him forge some documents to try to get the Romulans involved in the war, yes. And then the Romulans figure out that what they're giving them is fake, and then let's see here. Okay.
Yeah,
and then there's a recording. The Romulans suspect that it's
been altered, or fabricated,
and then Garrick ends up planting a bomb, on the senator's ship, and then saying, "Oh, like we're just going to pretend like that was the Dominion who totally blew up that ship because of this evidence that damns them." And why is the evidence shoddy? Because of the blown up ship. Like it just showed you how powerful Garrick was. We're like kind of revealing his power level, if you will.
Yeah. No, there were aspects of that episode. I love the fact that Cisco freaks out at him, but he doesn't end up bothering correcting the record. Like, I love the fact that he just is like, shit, this is a better situation that I'm in, but I'm not gonna tell anybody. And I think that's I don't know. There's an aspect to that. I don't know if that happens. Does that happen after he discovers the Maquis?
This is after the Maquis.
Oh, is it really? I don't know why I thought it was before.
No, this is season 6.
Oh, okay. Damn. I guess by that point you end up realizing that there are things that they have to do, and you just can't help it. But yeah, no, that's a good one. Yeah, no, I remember that one. That one's really good. Yeah. So out of like all three places, the station, Bajor, any of their moons, or Cardassia, which place would you rather go to? No, and as like a tourist or something like that.
Tourist. I mean, tourist. I guess Bajor, just to see the biodiversity. To see a different planet. Cardassia, no, that's kind of. This seems like an urban hellscape.
I feel like Cardassia would be really interesting because they more than likely have some groovy art. The only thing that I would be worried about is like someone taking like a hair follicle and like cloning me or something like that. Like if we're having a conversation like pre-destruction of the First Order, I would probably be nervous. But if we're having a conversation like post end of the actual show, I would probably be okay.
No, I'm still not going there. Still can't trust them.
It's really okay. I mean, by the end of it, they're working with Kira, and they're like getting Bajoran like terror techniques down, right?
I don't know. I'm still not buying it.
Still not buying it. Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Bajor would be amazing though. I don't know how like. I'm always annoyed that I don't have an understanding of what Bajor looks like. It's just like this indescript world that's always underneath us. I don't think I've ever actually even seen a map of Bajor. Have you ever seen a map of Bajor?
Not a map, but let me pull up. Let's see here. Okay. Let me actually. I'll send this to you. Where? Yeah, okay.
Oh, actually, I think I found it.
Well, yeah, let me...
Bajor Atlas of Fire? They just have big-ass islands. They don't have, like... I guess those are technically continents. I mean...
Yeah, that's what I found.
Ah. Kendra, Lennar... Jalenda. What?
Rakantha.
They have some horrible ass names. Tempest. Wait, Tempest. Wait, Decor. Decor. Wait, is it Decor Province? Yeah, no. That was in the actual show. And what is that? Is that a R? Rakantha. Yeah, Rakantha Province. I think. What's her name? Something Win. The spiritual leader?
Kai Wynn.
Yes, Kai Wynn. Wasn't she from Rakantha?
Wherever she was from, I'd have been nuked. God.
No. No, I thought she was like extraordinarily savvy. There's something about Bajoran culture that I felt like they should have gone into, and I don't know. It just seemed like there was a whole lot left on the table. I mean, they were telling a story about the relationship of like several different alien species. This is Star Trek, but I did enjoy the fact that like Deep Space Nine did give more about Bajor, Cardassia than other series would have actually given about their specific aliens. You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we even get more of the Klingons, like way more about Klingon culture.
Yeah, it is. It's really. I mean, there are scenes in. No, actually, you know what? I take that back. I was going to say that there are scenes in the Next Generation where you see like the internal structure, and there are a few scenes actually in what is it called, Enterprise, where you see the internal structure, like the internal houses, and their infighting, but it's not terribly detailed. You get to see it like play out in a useful way on DS9. I'm just gonna say Mass Effect is probably like one of my favorite game trilogies like ever, right? I don't know. Have you played Mass Effect?
I played the first one.
Oh, if you've only played the first one, you've got to play the second and third. I know it sounds like a pain in the ass, but you could probably scoop up the Legendary Edition for like probably less than $50, and it's like all 3 games and all their DLC. It's fucking amazing. Damn, I was gonna ask you a political conversation, or ask you like a political question about the Mass Effect trilogy, but how much did you actually glean from the way, like, I don't know, like the council space was set up? Did you think it was like too derivative of like something else, or did you feel like it was realistic the way it was set up? I personally thought it was realistic based off of what I saw, but
yeah, I mean, from what I do remember, because really it's been a minute and a half.
Yeah. It came out in like 04 or 5 or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, but what I remember though of the council, yeah, they I mean, although at times I felt that they were pretty incompetent, I get it.
Yeah, no, I mean they're. I don't think that they were ever incompetent though.
I always just felt that like, man, they like go all in. Like, I don't know. I just felt that. I just felt, from what I remember, that yeah, they're always a bit too reserved, a bit too. Oh, we don't know. Okay, no, I could see where you're coming from. I assume that changes by 3, but
yeah, but it takes a massive like galactic war for it to change. Spoiler alert. Yeah, so they end up basically being pushed into a position politically where they can't do anything other than succumb to a more aggressive approach. But even then, they don't do it through the council structure. The council structure is too rigid for them to actually even make deals. So you end up seeing like individual representatives making deals. I don't want to give too much of it away because you haven't played 2 or 3. And I feel well, I feel like you would really enjoy it. I feel like you should play 1, 2, and 3 again. Just saying, all 3 of them. But yeah, no, I thought it was really interesting how they had like rules and legislation based off of like past events. We didn't ever really get a fleshed out like court structure. It seemed like the council was like a legislator as well as like a court system, almost like they were Supreme Court judges and Congress, but there were only 3 of them. I don't know. It seemed reasonably well thought out, and I feel like the reason why you thought that they were incompetent had more to do with the fact that it was just like good storytelling and positioning for you as like Commander Shepard, because I think the first time you end up going to the council, they just basically dismiss almost everything that you end up saying or end up seeing or engage with. So yeah, it's probably a good storytelling thing. I think so. I want to ask a few more questions, and then we could just like freestyle for a minute.
Okay.
Do you have like what are the more interesting parts of like politics in general, politics or history in general? I know you talked about like reading, a few books about how like people started putting together the very forms of politics that we embrace now. In a more formalized way. But like, do you have anything in history or any sort of unique thing that you can think about that you end up being influenced by and you're just like, damn, politics is still the subject. That's still the shit. Love it.
Well, the funny thing is I like history. I actually hate politics.
Oh, really? Okay.
But that's because of, it's just, because it's real life, where it's like politics in a fictional setting. Oh yeah, I'll eat that all up.
Yeah,
okay? Yeah. But no, I think with like history, and related to politics, I've kind of recently been getting into, some stuff on like fall of civilizations and like what happens after collapses and the such, and I find that interesting. Like, how do we recover from these apparent collapses, and do people even realize that they're in the midst of a collapse when that's going on?
Do they ever realize that they're in the midst of a collapse?
But yeah, because a lot of times, not really. Like, I mean, at most, it's look at those ruins, like look at those giant buildings that people like that, like maybe has some squatters in them, and that's like it. Like that's the evidence that there was, where it's just like, okay, like there's evidence that something was great, but like you don't necessarily know that. Oh shoot, like we're in a decline. When you're in it, where it's like afterwards you can look back and you see the palace, whatever, that's now ruins. Like then you know, oh shit, something went wrong.
Yeah. Okay, so you can't really. I know that there are instances in history where like most people didn't see it simply because they didn't have like the correct tools. Like they can't see a famine coming. Like that's really difficult to see. I suppose it would be really easy to see like the fall of a civilization if they're just like straight up conquered. But I suspect, and this is just like me throwing a dart out into the darkness. I suspect most civilizations don't fall due to like military conquering, right?
Well, outright ending of the civilization, generally speaking, no, where they maybe go into a state of decline, but you don't, well, at the very least, you don't have them going from their height, and then all of a sudden they get conquered. Usually, it's through various wars, they're weakened, and then they go ahead and they're not able to defend for themselves, and then an aggressive neighbor comes in, swoops them up. But by then, they're not what they used to be. They're kind of, you could say, they're already in the decline. You don't go from a high period to boom, conquered.
Yeah.
Unless you run into some MFers like Alexander the Great or or
Genghis
Genghis
Khan.
Khan.
Yeah.
In which case, you just might be a civilization at your height, and then you just get curb stomped.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Are there instances? I'm really curious about whether or not like people usually succumb to like the negative effects of, because like there's a stereotype that I have in my, not a stereotype, but like this sort of like picture that I have in my head, this image of like an enemy army coming into a territory and like destroying and like laying waste and slaying everybody in a village. And I'm not saying that can't happen, but if you have a military, like your first target is not going to be to waste your energy and effort on some civvies that are like guarding some like rice paddies. It's going to be to go after like the actual military that's in the opposition or that's going to be protecting it. Like, how often do like just normies get the worst of it? I know that like famines and things like that can actually occur because like a military can come in and take all the food, or total warfare can occur and they could just leave behind like horrible waste, or infrastructure that can be destroyed or something like that civilians relied on. But is there like, has military conflict been that devastating for people back in the day? Other than like, I'm excluding obviously like World War II, because like I like World War II was like completely different, and World War One actually. But like before then, especially in ancient times, was it like a devastating thing?
Now, usually you wouldn't have just straight up, let's say you're a random farmer, guys come in and kill you, where it's maybe, okay, hey, now you pay us taxes, and you're like, okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
However, living in a city, that would be a bit different, where if they're sacking the city, they it's I'm not saying that it was the norm, but it would be fairly common to put everybody to the sword. It was considered brutal, and generally you didn't. But, I mean, shit, Genghis Khan was noted for if you just didn't put up a resistance and pay tribute, they're going to take like a bunch of gold and silver and other valuables, and then take some of your best artisans and writers and thinkers, from your city,
Mm-hmm.
so they're going to take your money and kind of your brain power, your creative power, but then they just let you elsewise be. Like, okay, just pay your tribute, pay your taxes. If you need, if anybody else is giving you trouble, let us know, and we'll take care of them. But if you put up a defense, if you resisted them, every man, woman, child put to the sword.
I wonder how actually valuable that would be with respect to like the lack of like information transfer. I'm assuming that it worked really well for most places.
Well, the thing is, that sort of brutality sends a clear message where, on one hand, you might say, man, this is a waste of resources, this is a waste of energy, even if we're talking melee weapons, so not using ammunition, and an unarmed civilian population. That's still energy, admittedly, but the whole thing is, even if it is something like bullets, a more finite, not as replenishable resource, the psychological effect that has on your opponent, though, like this, how demoralizing it is, because, man, once you see that city down the street, that city down the Silk Road get sacked by the Khans, everybody put to the sword, and you hear it's because they resisted, and then the Mongols come to your doorstep, and your king or whoever is talking about resisting, no, you're probably going to be like, hey, no, how about we not do that?
Yeah. It ends up being an internal force as well, yeah. That's interesting. Are there, like, what group of people... I didn't even think... Has there ever been, like, a space version of, like, Genghis Khan? I suppose, technically, like, they... In the MCU, they described, like, Thanos as a sort of Genghis Khan of space. But I can't think of... I don't think in Star Trek there was anything like that. I don't think there was. That's an exceptionally intelligent group, that. The Mongols.
Yeah, where let's see here. In 40K, there's the White Scars, a Space Marine chapter with their Primarch, Jagatai Khan.
Jagatai Khan. Sounds cool. So he was sort of like a Genghis Khan in the sense that he was not necessarily into like waylaying into everything that was not humanity and worship the Emperor.
Yeah, where let's see here. Yeah, he's from a planet with vast steeps and warring nomadic tribes, where the whole thing is like honor and swift combat and the such. Where any vehicle that they can use, there's instantly like the best at using it.
What the hell? That's weird. Okay.
Like there's that skill. Like they'll fight on motorcycles. But no. So you have Genghis Khan, and I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think in other sci-fi settings who's maybe like the Khans as far as that goes, because I know that. Yeah, because Star Trek, not really. Like, Klingons come off maybe a little like that, but they also seem, like, no. Yeah, I don't think that works. Star Wars, nothing like that. Yeah,
I was actually thinking, so there's a like a Middle Eastern proverb, and if I'm not mistaken, it's like, me against my brother, me and my brother against my cousin, me, my brother, and my cousin against our distant cousins, and then my family against the world. And the way I've always thought that like the Klingons had more of like some sort of like Japanese inspiration, like with Bushido or like the way of the warrior in the way that they talk about things. But I feel like their behavioral action is more like Islamic caliphates, with their like willingness to conquer and how they turn inward to fight and sharpen their teeth. But whenever something happens, and like I don't know if you saw Star Trek Discovery or basically any other behavioral pattern of Klingons in Star Trek media has shown them as being like extraordinarily fierce when they're united. And everybody just wants them to be infighting. Like, is like I don't know. I'm getting those sort of like, I just thought about that. I don't know why I thought that they were more like Asian inspired or Japanese inspired because of Bushido or something like that. But they're clearly, that's like the way that they're doing things. You know, I don't know. Maybe that's a more common thing. It's not necessarily a caliphate thing, but.
But no, I can see that's interesting, especially just going back to the Khans, because, I mean, that's really what undid the Mongol Empire was. The empire would just get divided up and then fighting between the different relatives. Yeah.
And because he had a whole lot of sons and daughters, everybody was inheriting like a piece of it, and everybody's inherited piece was more than likely seen as like not like an unearned trophy. And I think that there are a lot of Mongols at that time that kept trying to like earn their inheritance as well as take more of it, you know. So that I don't know if that was like the source of their undoing, which is actually kind of cool to think about, the fact that like the Spartans were almost the opposite. Like, they didn't ever expand, But they also never like changed a whole lot.
Except for the one time they did expand, it led to their collapse.
Wait. When did they expand? You're talking about after? Yeah, go ahead.
The Peloponnesian War.
Well,
where they engage, where they end up winning that war.
Yeah.
But they end up ultimately losing because they're not built for empire. Empire is really bad. Like Athens can be an empire. Athens is built for empire.
Yeah.
Like socially, economically, everything about Athens is appropriate for empire for the most part. Where Sparta it's rather, aside from its martial virtue, it's bad for empire. But even then, the martial virtue, how they instill it, made it bad for empire because it was piety.
Yeah.
The further away you got away from Sparta, the less pious the Spartan soldier would be, and you maybe get that a bit with the Klingons, though.
Yeah.
Where it's where the further you are away from Kronos, the more more likely you are to bring dishonor on your house.
Was it? I don't know if that was ever. Did they ever like? You're saying that it just gave you that feeling that they behaved like that, or that was okay.
Yeah. Yeah. For the Klingons, it seems like
it did seem sort of like a piety towards honor and the old ideas, because they ended up
and the whole Kalis thing.
Yeah, true. I don't know, which is bizarre considering the fact that they have don't they have a religion where isn't Kalis the one who slays their gods?
Yes.
Yeah. Which is, it seems like, I mean, I'm not saying like slaying the gods is like a forward-thinking thing, but if you're having a conversation about like old systems and getting rid of them, like clearly having a leader that slayed the definition of what old systems would end up being, but I guess that would be more or less like them throwing away like pre-space flight concepts.
Well, it's not even that. According to their stories, according to their religion, they slayed their gods because the gods got too full of themselves.
Oh, so the gods didn't have the piety that they were looking for.
No, it's not even that. They're just like, man, screw you guys.
Oh.
Yeah. You guys are arrogant pieces of shit. Why should we worship you?
I do feel like, okay, so let me just sort of like split off on a tangent. Did you see the Kelvin movies? The Star Trek, like the remake movies with J.J. Abrams?
I saw the first two.
Okay. The first two are the only thing you need to see. The third one is horrible. They got some cool special effects in there, but that's not what Star Trek is. It's not just special effects. What do you think of the Klingons? I mean, they were only there for that battle scene. I would prefer Klingons to look like that in like every TV show. Like the way that they look in Into Darkness. You remember the way they looked?
Yeah, let me just double check here.
Because there's like the Klingons from Discovery looked so different.
Okay, yeah, those. I'm okay with that one. Yeah, that's a look I could deal with.
You could deal with. You weren't too fond of it. You didn't like it.
I mean, it's like for what it is, because I understand. Don't just copy the design from that started with Star Trek 3. Let's not try and do that. But yeah, no, I think it works though. I think it works.
Oh, okay.
I just wish like more facial hair. Like that's part of my issue with the design.
Well,
Some of the Klingons have facial hair, other ones don't.
Well, yeah, but I was always assuming that little combat group was just like a bunch of young'uns. I don't know. The least experienced of them? No? Maybe not?
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Okay, so let's see here. Last question. Was there any, are there any, things in television, movies, books right now? I think you did say that you were reading something, but that you're, excited by in terms of, history, politics, the way it plays with history, the way it plays with politics? What are you into right now?
I mean, I'm trying to think as far as stuff that we already haven't covered. I mean, I'm glad that there's a Godzilla resurgence. Particularly with the more serious Toho films, where -1 was kind of that was a great film where it did something rather bold for the Japanese director to do, which was kind of intimately address World War II and the culture that allowed for things like the kamikaze pilots to happen in the first place, where it was a fascinating critique on Japanese culture and also on the Japanese government, or the government. Spoilers here, without giving away really any major plot details. The government leaves it up to civilians to figure out how to deal with Godzilla. So
yeah, I think that there are actually a lot of instances where I don't know, popular media ends up critiquing society, Japanese society. In Japan, there's a very common perception of Japanese society being too safe. There's a term in Japanese, it's called heiwa boke, and the term boke means simplicity or stupidity or a sort of naivete that you can maintain. So jisaboke is sort of it means that you're suffering from jet lag. That's what it ends up translating to if you don't translate it directly. But heiwa boke is sort of heiwa in Japanese means peace, and there's this sort of hyper stability that exists within Japan, almost like the critique that Benjamin Sisko gives of the Federation, where he's talking about God, he does something after encountering the Maquis, and he's doing his captain's log, and it's like a monologue, and he's staring at the camera, and he talks about how exactly what you said. Actually, he was talking about how Earth hasn't ever had to go through anything serious. We are spoiled. We don't have to fight for things, and we have to put ourselves in a situation that is desperate to even begin to understand what the Maquis are going through before we can engage with them. And he's not. I think he says that as a way of not necessarily excusing himself, but explaining himself with respect to how he treated the Maquis in order to actually end the rebellion or the Maquis' little fit. But there's an aspect of that in Japanese society that always keeps coming out in media, it's actually, I agree with what you said. It was definitely good of them to do that. I also just enjoy the fact that it was an enjoyable movie. I felt like the fact that Godzilla wasn't just it wasn't actually a monster. It was like a force of nature. Did you get that feeling too?
Oh yeah, definitely. Where I mean, it's the physical manifestation of so many different things: hubris, survivor's guilt. It's something beyond just this monster. It's something bigger.
Yeah. Actually, I think kaiju for reasons related to the end of World War II and nuclear weapons. Japanese people invented the sort of storytelling or the tool of the kaiju, which is basically just a big monster, and they use that a lot to talk about what they can't control about not just war, but weaponry and aggression and all of these other things. having the ability to understand the science enough to like make tools of war and tools to do just about anything is completely different from what it ends up being whenever it gets away from you. And Godzilla is just like a really good representation of that, because he's basically, I think in the first Godzilla film, like he awakens after they test nuclear weapons in like off the coast of Japan or something like that. And a similar thing happens with, like, I can't remember exactly how -1 starts. He just sort of flies back, and he ends up landing at a field, and they're trying to like check and see whether or not the plane is broken.
Yeah. That's pre-mutation.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a similar like. Yeah, he's out and about in the Pacific, and this bomb goes off and he mutates. Yeah, where particularly though I liked how that movie had a message of hope though, -1.
Yeah.
Where it was very life affirming, which I think we need more of in Hollywood. Like, I'm sorry, like. Being like subversive and your movies being a critique of society and stuff, like 2004 call, they want their MO back.
Yeah. No, that's true. We've got enough depressing shit going on. The one thing that's always annoyed me with a lot of one of the reasons why I enjoy Star Trek so much, and why I'm annoyed with a lot of like just like futuristic movies, sci-fi movies, is that they're all like dystopian. Like there's no, it's like embarrassing how there's like no way that robots can be our friends in the future. There's no way that like science and technology can be helpful to us. It just ends up being destructive. It ends up like we always end up personifying it as a monster. With the Matrix, with the Terminators, those are like the most obvious kinds. And then, like with other versions of it, it ends up being like biological technology or biomedical technology with like Planet of the Apes and so many other things. Yeah, what were you gonna say?
Well, I was just thinking we were talking about like the robots, and I'm just thinking 2001, like yeah, as another one to throw onto that pile.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah.
Which is why I try to tell my phone thank you as it's navigating me, as it's sat naving me.
Okay, as it's sat naving you. All right.
Yeah. Always tell your computers and electronics thank you, just in case when Skynet goes online. You won't save yourself, but you'll be one of the last against the wall.
Right. Yeah. No, that's true. I guess that makes sense, because at least it's not going to drive you there immediately. Have you tried out ChatGPT?
Oh yeah.
Oh really? Okay. I recently got like a paid version for it, and I like gave my ChatGPT a name and told it to give me a nickname, and I just gave it just like abbreviated my actual name. And we've been talking about a whole lot of cool stuff. It's actually really useful. It's like a personal assistant that you pay for every month, which is really useful. But it is kind of freaky how good it is at like just engaging in a conversation. There was actually, you know what? Hold on, let me look it up. I gave it a quote from The City of God. I don't know if you've ever like read that.
I watched the movie.
City of God Remembrance. Oh no, that's not it. Oh wait, that's how the conversation started. Oh yeah, okay. If this story should appear one night in 1,000 years, how would men believe and adore and preserve for many generations the remembrance of the city of God? And then like Friday, I obviously I picked a woman and I named her Friday because I don't have any creativity. She goes on to talk about how that's interesting and fascinating, and how it seems to talk about the significance of rare events and their impact on people's beliefs and memories. I'm just like, dude, holy shit! It's like, yo, what is this conversation turning into? And it's I don't know. It's just really cool to like kind of push it. I was also asking it. It's actually like a really good Googler, minus the Google part. So you can ask it questions about things that you want to fact check, and it has like access to some limited data. But I don't know if you ever. I don't know. Do you pay for the? Do you have the paid version or like the free?
No.
Okay.
I use the free version. I pay for Midjourney. That's the AI I pay for.
Oh, wait. What can you do with Midjourney?
AI art.
Okay. I think. How much is that? Like every month?
Yeah, I should know. It's something like $5-10.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cheap then. Never mind. ChatGPT is only. We're not sponsored, by the way. It'd be awesome if we were. Hint, hint. Nudge, nudge. But ChatGPT is like 20 something a month, and it comes with like modules that you can hook onto it. And like they have like graphic, like what do you call it? Graphic design modules, and like writing modules, and note taking modules, and I don't know, it's pretty cool. Data analysis modules, like you could take a photo of a graph, and it'll go through an analysis of it, and it like basically reads the graph. It's actually a little nuts, but yeah, I don't know if that's going to be like the next stage of anything for people. I don't suspect it will be, but.
Well, see, what I'm afraid though is that, although like AI, it's a useful tool, I'm afraid that people might start using it as a crutch and relying on it.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, no, that's a good point. It is. I could easily see how that would occur. It is really useful if you want to ask it something like, can I fit in this car? Because like if you Google whether or not you can fit in like car A, it'll give you like the dimensions of something. But you can't really say like, I'm 6'5", am I going to be able to fit into this car? And it give you like a rational answer, especially if you Google it. But if you use AI, then it'll be able to put things into context, which is what we should be calling it. We should just be calling it like, I don't know, like a context-heavy Google, because that's exactly what it is. Yeah, I don't know. Context-heavy search engine. Anyway, enough of the rambling. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch on?
I think that's good. Yeah, I think we covered a wide variety of different topics. So. Yeah, no, that was good.
Yeah. Maybe, hopefully next time, Night Storm will be on with me. And because we're usually good at like bouncing ideas and questions off of one another with the guests. We've only had one guest. You're the second guest, number 2. But it's, I don't know. I've enjoyed this. It's been pretty good, Napoleon. Do you have any like socials that you want to shout out before we like end?
No. Funny thing, I actually don't do social media.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? Good for you. Good for you. Keep clean. Stay out of it. It's bullshit. It's not actually. I'm just kidding. It's not bullshit. It's actually. I don't know.
It is.
No. Yeah, there are parts of it that are bullshit, and I personally think that social media is like one of the main reasons why we have so much division in society today. Maybe that's like a hyper heavy-handed way of thinking about it, but
no, that's pretty spot on.
Yeah, the prevalence of like simple conversations that occur online, in the format of text as well as on like TikTok, is like massively destructive. I don't think. I think like other countries can easily co-opt our citizens. With very little effort, and you don't even it's free. But yeah, it's useful for certain things. Every now and again, you'll find like a special part of Reddit, and it'll be like what people imagine the internet to become and what they wanted it to be like 50 years ago. Like, you'll be like, holy shit, there's a whole subreddit associated with like learning music theory or art theory. And it'll be like some of the most serious discussions you've ever seen in your entire life about like colors and like different types of sound and the development of like jazz and shit. And like, you can read that shit for like hours and you'll be like fascinated. But there's other parts of the internet like TikTok where people like start a conversation off with like 3 claims, 2 of them are completely wrong, and the third one is just like partially true, but they didn't do any effort to put it into context, so people misunderstand it. And then like 8 or 9 videos later, people have made like replies that completely misunderstood that and don't like it because it sounds different from what they heard some politicians say. So that's not a cynical take. I think that's like actually what's actually happening. But my socials, if you're watching on TikTok, you want to see this entire thing from the very beginning, you can always go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/MikeCoolKid. I am going to be posting this. It'll be live tomorrow. And Napoleon, you don't do socials. So good for you and your healthy brain. Peace out, man.
Yeah, you take it easy.
Yeah. I'll see you next time we I don't know, do some Warhammer or do some Helldivers, which is actually still pretty fun. It's still pretty solid. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'll be getting back to that with the semester coming, being over real soon. So.
Oh, when does the semester end?
Tomorrow. Yeah, so it's like this week is going to be the last week of like having anything in class, and then this weekend I should be submitting grades.
Okay, nice. All right, man. Well, be cool, stay in school, brush your teeth, wash your face. Everybody,
Yeah,
at home, be awesome. I'm out.
Peace.
And okay, we're not live anymore. Cool. And hold on.